when you're spending $100,000 on a campaign that's going to a single landing page, you got to make sure it's working. And even if you didn't touch the page, right? If you're the advertiser and you're running the ads to the page, if it doesn't convert, you get the blame, right?
Find that happen a lot in your experience where you would be running, the paid media side of things. You'd be pushing all this traffic over, but their conversions were just shabby. They weren't very great. It puts you kind of in a rock and a hard place. Like, what do you do in that situation? It's like, hey, it's the other guy.
Yeah. Early on, when we were like kind of jack of all trades type agency and we're doing more, it would put us in an awkward position. We repositioned ourselves in the agency differently. Like at first it was like, we were in the middle. The way I see it is like you can solve small problems for a lot of people, right? And have a very profitable company, or you can solve big problems for a few people that can afford to pay for them, and you can have a really profitable company. Initially in the agency, like we were in the in-between, and that's not a way to make money. So when we were in that position, we did run into from a client and them not taking our advice. What's hard is like with the agency model is you are working for somebody, right? And it's hard to position the fear is I tell them something they don't want to hear, they get upset at me, and then they fire me. But the thing to realize is like, if you don't say something and they don't get results, then they fire you anyway, right? Yeah. And most people take the first approach because they're like, well, I just won't say anything and then I'll keep them longer. Mm-hmm. And so, as we shifted and said like, hey, we're not going to work on small ad spend accounts, and our specialty in the agency became on scaling. So people would come to us when they're like, we're spending $15,000 to $25,000 a month in ad spend. And every time we try to scale, profitable campaigns become unprofitable. That was the specific niche context that they would come to us in. And so we had to reposition ourselves. Like one thing is like every agency is like, okay, and the clients expect it. They're like, okay, this all sounds great. Send us a proposal. Well, most agencies would be like, okay, yep, we'll do that. So you now as an agency are going in and working, you're doing work, putting together a proposal for free. Like that doesn't make sense, right? So when they would say to us before they were a client, they would say, hey, send us a proposal. My response, or whoever was talking to them, the response was always, we don't send proposals. And then it's like,
and what was the kickback on that? How did that conversation go? Yeah.
So that it was always like a stumble, like they would stumble and they'd be like, oh, and I'd say, well, we don't send proposals because, ultimately, if you hire us to do this type of work in your business, you want people who are advising you in ways to run your business. So do you really want to take advice from somebody who's in a practice of working for free in their business? Right.
It's and they're the caliber of that business. Yeah. It kind of shows like the business maturity and just awareness of the bigger thing that's going on. And obviously in an example like this, that would be potentially a red flag, or we could at least say it's a strong indicator towards potentially how the rest of that. It's kind of like I just heard somebody talk about, it was like on Instagram or something, and it was about why like these high level business executives always like to take like potential clients out onto the golf course, or like before they work with somebody, they'll play 18 holes or something like that with them. And if they cheat at all, if they move the ball at all, no business.
That's interesting.
Because how you do anything is how you do everything.
Yes. Yep.
And I think in a lot of ways it's true. I'm sure you could probably poke some holes in that. But I think as an overall like fundamentals type of statement, I think it's closer towards like ultimate truth than it is just like some fun statement that's catchy and plithy,
Yeah, no, I would agree with it. I would agree with it because like even the positioning, like when it would go the other way and they're like, well, everybody sends a, proposal, my response would be like, well, hey, if you're getting proposals, you're obviously shopping agencies. People do that all the time. Why don't you choose one of them to work with? And then if they can't get you the results you're looking for, then come back and we can talk.
Sure. Now, would you give them outside of a proposal? Would you I'm sure there would be some sort of kind of like discovery call, I guess, or something where they can get a better take of like how you guys operate, and yes, you're left of center as far as what everybody else is doing, but here's why, and they can start to pick up. So it's not like you're just like, hey, we're not sending a proposal and take it or leave it. Like you had a different approach to that.
We would do a discovery call and we would then lead that into an account audit, and then we would do a call to review the audit. So the discovery call would get us at, if they were interested, we would do an audit on the account, which was private. Like we would do that. And then we would produce results of the audit and review them together, but we had to review them on a call, right? So it was like, we have a 1-page bullet list of like, these are the things holding you back from scale. And, they had to, like, they wouldn't, if they were like, hey, send us the audit and then, we'll review it and then we'll book a call. It's just, so we trained them early on to basically work within our systems, which were outside of the box and weird, from an agency perspective, but we used it to our advantage. I never ever could sell off of a proposal because you're just putting yourself in a pile of, these people that it's like, if you put yourself in a pile of 3 agencies, a lot of it comes down to who has the prettier proposal. Because a lot of these proposals are 10, 15 pages and there's design elements to it. The executives at companies are not actually reading them.
Right. And even if they try to, in a lot of sense, they don't really know what's in there because that's not their primary thing. That's not what they spend time in every day. So it becomes like whichever thing in the filing cabinet is the sexiest, what catches your eye. But hey, that even speaks just to like consumer psychology in general, because you can absolutely use that to your advantage without, obviously there's a lot of like hate on like click type stuff. Like, oh, you got me hooked by saying that. Well, there's a difference between clicking when they go in and then you don't deliver on the promise or the curiosity that you sparked from the get. But yeah, it really goes into just consumer psychology in general. Like, how do people make decisions? Because this is true in life, in business. And for those, whether agency model, whatever the business may be, I feel like if you can aim to incorporate the psychological component of how we make decisions, of how we communicate, like in real time, like we match each other's body language in a lot of sense. And, there's a lot of different nuances, but I think if all businesses, the more they pay attention to that, the more that they can start to see what actually does cause the conversion inside somebody's mind before they actually then submit, their first deposit or sign the contract or whatever it may be. Very interesting.
Yeah.
If you want more content like this, make sure you follow, because I've got plenty more coming your way. Peace.